Welcome to HortTube, where we talk all things gardening. My name is Jim Putnam, and this is a David Viburnum. This is David Viburnum, an evergreen viburnum that gets beautiful white flowers in the spring and a bluish purple berry in the fall. David grows low and compact on its own. This one will only reach 3, maybe 4 feet in height over time and about 3 to 4 feet in width, so slightly wider than tall. David is best in zones 7 to 9, although with this one I don't see it getting burned as much as Viburnum tinus and a couple of the other evergreen viburnums do in zone 7. So I think it would be worth a try in 6B if you had a protected foundation space. David is not going to be a very fast growing plant. This thing only reaches about 3 feet in height. I don't think you're going to add more than 6 inches of growth in a single season. This is a plant that's listed on most websites in part shade to full sun. I've never seen this plant perform well in zones 7, 8, or 9 in total full sun all day. I've seen it tried in a few parking lots before, and with very poor success. I think this thing really does need part shade, an area where you get sun maybe until 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or the opposite, where it comes into the sun sometime around lunch and only gets afternoon sun. Because David Viburnum is evergreen and low growing on its own and flowering, there's a lot of different uses for this plant. It definitely works great as a foundation plant. It's a great holly replacement if you have 3 to 4 foot growing hollies like Hellerise or something like that on your foundation. This is a perfect replacement for those. It also works very well mass planted. It looks great with loropetalum. If you're in zones 7, 8, or 9 where we can grow the purple loropetalums, this plant looks fantastic with it, and you can put the loropetalums behind it, and it really makes the flowers and the foliage on this thing really stand out. Works great as a container plant, but be careful in zone 7 in a container. If it freezes solid, it would definitely be damaged. The main features of David Viburnum are, number one, it has this really nice dark green shiny foliage. The new foliage is a lighter color, also very shiny, creates a nice two-tone effect. In the early spring, it gets these white flowers, which were kind of pink buds to start with, and then they open into white clusters. And then where the flowers are becomes kind of a metallic blue berry in the fall that's typically pretty persistent through the winter. So it's a great plant because it's almost always doing something. One additional thing to mention, having additional plants, more than one David Viburnum, will ensure a better crop of the blue fruit. I've included videos in the description of this video for planting woody shrubs. This is definitely a plant that's going to like well-drained soil. So if you have heavy clay soils, make sure you follow that clay planting video. Mound them up, mix in some pine bark soil conditioner, and just make sure it drains properly. For the first year after you plant your David Viburnum, keep a close eye on the watering, check it frequently, and stick your finger down in the ground a couple inches. Make sure it's actually dry before you water it. Don't put this on an automated watering system. You will end up drowning this plant. Once it's established, these are reasonably drought tolerant. If you're getting regular rainfall, this is not a plant that's going to need ongoing watering. If it becomes abnormally dry for some period of time, just drown the space around it. These are pretty good at letting you know. A lot of these leafy evergreens like this are good at wilting, or it'll lose a few interior leaves if it becomes really, really dry. But even if it gets drought stressed, it's usually not a big issue. It'll recover pretty quickly. I would definitely fertilize David Viburnum in the spring with a slow release fertilizer, something that lasts 3 to 4 months. I've said this in a couple other videos. These leafy evergreens that have a tendency to race out ahead and get some frost damage on them in the spring, be careful fertilizing them too early. Conifers, hollies, there's a lot of things I would fertilize, well before your frost-free date, but I would wait until after these probably have flowered out. That would be about the appropriate time to fertilize them. One of the main features of David is it's almost self-maintaining. You're gonna have to do very little pruning on this plant. You might get one crazy limb off the side that needs to be cut off of it. Maybe it'll end up over 3 feet, and you wanted to keep it a little lower. You can give it a haircut after it flowers. Just keep in mind that where the flowers are is where the berries are in the fall, and you're going to lose those that season. So if you have to prune it, you might want to take it down a little further than you're comfortable with, or further down than you want to, so you don't have to do it every year and lose the berries every year. We don't really get a lot of insects on these David Viburnum. If they're getting a little bit of air movement around them, I have had some scale on them and a few other issues in a nursery setting, but I had them in a hoop house and just didn't have good air movement on them. I think in a landscape, we typically don't see a lot of problems on them. They are very susceptible to root rot, so follow some best practices, planting instructions, and mound them up, and don't over mulch them, and definitely don't put this plant on an automated irrigation system. They are considered deer resistant. So what are you waiting for? Even you can grow the low growing, compact, evergreen, white flowering David Viburnum. Thank you for watching my video, and if it was helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for future videos. Also comment below with any questions you have about Viburnum. Thanks again.